Rio de Janeiro, literally River of January, is the capital of the state of Rio de Janeiro. Rio de Janeiro is the second most populous city in Brazil and the sixth most populous city in the Americas. Notably, it is listed by the GAWC as a Beta Global City, and part of Rio de Janeiro is designated as a World Heritage Site. Founded in 1565 by the Portuguese, the city was initially the seat of the Captaincy of Rio de Janeiro, a domain of the Portuguese Empire. In 1763, it became the capital of the state of Brazil, a state of the Portuguese Empire. In 1808, when the Portuguese royal court moved to Brazil, Rio de Janeiro became the seat of the court of Queen Maria I of Portugal. She subsequently, under the leadership of her son the Prince Regent John VI of Portugal, raised Brazil to the dignity of a kingdom, within the United Kingdom of Portugal, Brazil, and Algarves. Rio remained as the capital of the pluricontinental monarchy until 1822, when the Brazilian War of Independence began. This is one of the few instances in history that the capital of a colonizing country officially shifted to a city in one of its colonies. Rio de Janeiro subsequently served as the capital of the independent monarchy, the Empire of Brazil, until 1889, and then the capital of a republican Brazil until 1960, when the capital was transferred to Brasília. Rio de Janeiro is one of the most visited cities in the southern hemisphere and is known for its natural settings, carnival, samba, bossa nova, and balneario beaches such as Barra de Tijuca, Copacabana, Ipanema, and Leblon. In addition to the beaches, some of the most famous landmarks include the giant statue of Christ the Redeemer atop Corcovado Mountain, named one of the new 7 wonders of the world, Sugarloaf Mountain with its cable car, the Sambadrome, a permanent grandstand-lined parade avenue which is used during Carnival, and Maracanã Stadium, one of the world's largest football stadiums. Rio de Janeiro was the host of the 2016 Summer Olympics and the 2016 Summer Paralympics, making the city the first South American and Portuguese-speaking city to ever host the events, and the third time the Olympics were held in a Southern Hemisphere city. The Maracanã Stadium held the finals of the 1950 and 2014 FIFA World Cups, the 2013 FIFA Confederations Cup, and the 15 Pan American Games. In 2024, the city will host the G20 Summit. Rio de Janeiro is near the west end of a strip, from Cabo Frio to just east of Ilha Grande, of Brazil's Atlantic coast close to the Tropic of Capricorn, where the shoreline is oriented east and west. The city thus faces largely south. It was founded at the entrance to an inlet, Guanabara Bay, Baía de Guanabara, which is marked by a point of land called Sugarloaf, Pau de Açúcar, a calling card of the city. The Centro, Rio's downtown core, lies on the plains of the western shore of Guanabara Bay. The greater portion of the city, commonly referred to as the North Zone, Zona Norte, Rio de Janeiro PT, extends to the northwest on plains composed of marine and continental sediments, and on hills and several rocky mountains. The South Zone, Zona Sul, of the city, which includes beaches on the open sea, is cut off from the center and from the North Zone by coastal mountains, offshoots of the Serra do Mar, the ancient gneiss granite mountain chain that forms the southern slopes of the Brazilian highlands. The large West Zone, Zona Oeste, of the city, long cut off by the mountainous terrain, was made more easily accessible from the South Zone by the construction of roads and tunnels during the 20th century. The population of the city of Rio de Janeiro, occupying an area of 1,182.3 square kilometers (456.5 square miles), is about 6 million. The population of the greater metropolitan area is estimated at 11 to 13.5 million. Residents of the city are known as cariocas. The official song of Rio is Cidade Maravilhosa, by composer André Filho. The city has parks and ecological reserves such as the Tijuca National Park, the world's first urban forest and UNESCO Environmental Heritage and Biosphere Reserve, Pedra Branca State Park, which houses the highest point of Rio de Janeiro, the Peak of Pedra Branca, the Quinta da Boa Vista Complex, the Botanical Garden, Rio's Zoo, Parque Lage, and the Paseo Público, the first public park in the Americas. In addition, the Flamengo Park is the largest landfill in the city, extending from the center to the south zone, and containing museums and monuments, in addition to much vegetation. Since 1961, the Tijuca National Park, Parque Nacional de Tijuca, the largest city-surrounded urban forest and the second largest urban forest in the world, has been a national park. The largest urban forest in the world is the Floresta de Pedra Branca, White Rock Forest, which is located in the west zone of Rio de Janeiro. Rio de Janeiro has had a rich and influential Catholic tradition. The Roman Catholic Archdiocese of São Sebastião do Rio de Janeiro is the second largest archdiocese in Brazil after São Paulo. The Rio de Janeiro Cathedral was inaugurated in 1979, in the central region of the city. Its installations have a collection of great historical and religious value, the Archdiocesan Museum of Sacred Art and the Archdiocesan Archive. In a contemporary architecture, it has a conical shape, with 96 meters of internal diameter and capacity to receive up to 20,000 faithful. The splendor of the building, with straight and sober lines, is due to the changing stained glass windows carved on the walls up to the dome. Its design and execution was coordinated by Monsignor Ivo Antonio Cagliari, 1918 to 2005. Saint Sebastian is recognized as the city's patron saint, which is why it received the canonical name of Saint Sebastian of Rio de Janeiro. The Portuguese language is the official and national language, and thus the primary language taught in schools. English and Spanish are also part of the official curriculum. There are also international schools, such as the American School of Rio de Janeiro, Our Lady of Mercy School, Swiss International School, the Corcovado German School, the Lycée Français and the British School of Rio de Janeiro. The city has several universities and research institutes. The Ministry of Education has certified approximately 99 upper learning institutions in Rio. The most prestigious university is the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. It is the fifth best in Latin America, the second best in Brazil, second only to the University of São Paulo, and the best in Latin America, according to the QS World University Rankings. Benefiting from the federal capital position it had for a long period, 1763 to 1960, the city became a dynamic administrative, financial, commercial, and cultural center. Rio de Janeiro became an attractive place for companies to locate when it was the capital of Brazil, as important sectors of society and of the government were present in the city, even when their factories were located in other cities or states. The city was chosen as headquarters for state-owned companies such as Petrobras, Eletrobras, Caixa Econômica Federal, National Economic and Social Development Bank and Vale, which was privatized in the 1990s. The Rio de Janeiro Stock Exchange, BVRJ, which currently trades only government securities, was the first stock exchange founded in Brazil in 1845. Despite the transfer of the capital to Brasília in 1960, many of these headquarters remained within the Rio metropolitan area. The offshore oil exploration in the Campos Basin began in 1968 and became the main site for oil production of Brazil. This caused many oil and gas companies to be based in Rio de Janeiro, such as the Brazilian branches of Shell, EBX, and Esso. For many years Rio was the second largest industrial hub of Brazil, with oil refineries, shipbuilding industries, steel, metallurgy, petrochemicals, cement, pharmaceutical, textile, processed foods and furniture industries. Major international pharmaceutical companies have their Brazilian headquarters in Rio such as Merck, Roche, Arrow, Darrow, Baxter, Maine, and Maple. A newer electronics and computer sector has been added to the more established industries. Construction, also an important activity, provides a significant source of employment for large numbers of unskilled workers and is buoyed by the number of seasonal residents who build second homes in the greater Rio de Janeiro area. Rio is an important financial center, second only to São Paulo in volume of business. Its securities market, although declining in significance relative to São Paulo, is still of major importance. Recent decades have seen a sharp transformation in its economic profile, which is becoming more and more one of a major national hub of services and businesses. The city is the headquarters of large telecom companies, such as Intelig, Oi, and Embratel. Major Brazilian entertainment and media organizations are based in Rio de Janeiro like Organizações Globo and also some of Brazil's major newspapers, Jornal do Brasil, O Dia, and Business Rio. Tourism and entertainment are other key aspects of the city's economic life. The city is the nation's top tourist attraction for both Brazilians and foreigners. To attract industry, the state government has designated certain areas on the outskirts of the city as industrial districts where infrastructure is provided and land sales are made under special conditions. Oil and natural gas from fields off the northern coast of Rio de Janeiro state are a major asset used for developing manufacturing activities in Rio's metropolitan area, enabling it to compete with other major cities for new investment in industry. Owing to the proximity of Rio's port facilities, many of Brazil's export-import companies are headquartered in the city. In Greater Rio, which has one of the highest per capita incomes in Brazil, retail trade is substantial. Many of the most important retail stores are located in the center, but others are scattered throughout the commercial areas of the other districts, where shopping centers, supermarkets, and other retail businesses handle a large volume of consumer trade. Rio de Janeiro is, as of 2014, the second largest exporting municipality in Brazil compared to other cities. Rio de Janeiro's economy is the second largest in Brazil, behind São Paulo. Rio de Janeiro is Brazil's primary tourist attraction and resort. It receives the most visitors per year of any city in South America with 2.82 million international tourists a year. The city boasts world-class hotels, like Belmont Copacabana Palace, approximately 80 kilometers of beaches and the famous Corcovado, Sugarloaf Mountains, and Maracanã Stadium. While the city had in past had a thriving tourism sector, the industry entered a decline in the last quarter of the 20th century. The city of Rio de Janeiro is served by the following airports for use. Galileo, Antonio Carlos Jobim International Airport, used for all international and most of the domestic flights. Santos Dumont Airport, used mainly by the services to São Paulo, some short and medium-haul domestic flights, and general aviation. Jacarepaguá Roberto Marinho Airport, used by general aviation and home to the Aero Club do Brasil, Brazil Flying Club. The airport is located in the district of Baixada de Jacarepaguá, within the municipality of Rio de Janeiro, approximately 30 kilometers 19 miles from the city center. The port of Rio de Janeiro is Brazil's third busiest port in terms of cargo volume, and it is the center for cruise vessels. Located on the west coast of the Guanabara Bay, it serves the states of Rio de Janeiro, São Paulo, Minas Gerais, and Espírito Santo. The port is managed by Companhia Docas de Rio de Janeiro. In Rio de Janeiro, buses are the main form of public transportation. There are nearly 440 municipal bus lines serving over 4 million passengers every day, in addition to intercity lines. The Rio de Janeiro Metro has 3 subway lines with 58 kilometers 36 miles and 41 stations plus several commuter rail lines. The most geographically close sister city to Rio that is on the other side of Guanabara Bay is Niterói. Many people who live in Niterói, as well its neighboring municipalities São Gonçalo and Marica, commute to Rio de Janeiro to study and work. There are several ferry services that operate between the Rio Centro, Perca 15, and Niterói, Centro and Caritas. Driving in Rio de Janeiro, as in most large cities of Brazil, might not be the best choice because of the large car numbers. The city has 160 kilometers 99 miles of cycle paths that, wherever they exist, are very much preferable to riding in the city's traffic. Most paths run alongside beaches and extend intermittently from the Marina de Gloria, Centro, through Flamengo, Copacabana, and Ipanema, to Barra de Tijuca and Recreio dos Bandeirantes. 6 km, 3.7 miles, of cycle paths traverse the Tijuca National Park. The Bike Rio began operations in October 2011. This bicycle sharing system is sponsored by the municipal government of Rio de Janeiro in partnership with Banco Itaú. The bike sharing system has 600 bicycles available at 60 rental stations in 14 neighborhoods throughout the city. The official song of Rio de Janeiro is Cidade Maravilhosa, which means Marvelous City. The song is considered the civic anthem of Rio, and is always the favorite song during Rio's Carnival in February. Rio de Janeiro and São Paulo are considered the center of the urban music movement in Brazil. Rio was popularized by the hit song The Girl from Ipanema, composed by Antonio Carlos Jobim and Vinicius de Moraes and recorded by Astrid Gilberto and João Gilberto, Frank Sinatra, and Ella Fitzgerald. It is also the main key song of the bossa nova, a music genre born in Rio. Rio de Janeiro's Teatro Municipal is one of the most attractive buildings in the central area of the city. Home of one of the largest stages in Latin America and one of Brazil's best-known venues for opera, ballet, and classical music, the building was inspired by the Palais Garnier, home of the Paris Opera. Every December 31st, 2.5 million people gather at Copacabana Beach to celebrate New Year's in Rio de Janeiro. The crowd, mostly dressed in white, celebrates all night at the hundreds of different shows and events along the beach. It is the second largest celebration only next to the Carnival. People celebrate the New Year by sharing chilled champagne. It is considered good luck to shake the champagne bottle and spray around at midnight. Chilled champagne adds to the spirit of the festivities. As in the rest of Brazil, association football is the most popular sport. The city's major teams are Flamengo, Vasco da Gama, Fluminense, and Botafogo. Madureira, Bangu, Portuguesa, America, and Bom Sucesso are small clubs. Famous players born in the city include Zico, Romario, and Ronaldo. Rio de Janeiro was one of the host cities of the 1950 and 2014 FIFA World Cups, for which on both occasions Brazil was the host nation. In 1950, the Maracanã Stadium hosted 8 matches, including all but one of the host team's matches. The Maracanã was also the location of the infamous tournament-deciding match between Uruguay and Brazil, where Brazil only needed a draw to win the final group stage and the whole tournament. Brazil ended up losing 2-1 in front of a home crowd of more than 199,000. In 2014, the Maracanã hosted 7 matches, including the final, where Germany beat Argentina 1-0. On October 2, 2009, the International Olympic Committee selected Rio de Janeiro to host the 2016 Summer Olympics. Rio made their first bid for the 1936 Summer Olympics, but lost to Berlin. They later made bids for the 2004 and 2012 games, but failed to become a candidate city both times. Those games were awarded to Athens and London respectively. Rio is the first Brazilian and South American city to host the Summer Olympics. Rio de Janeiro also became the first city in the Southern Hemisphere outside of Australia to host the Games, Melbourne in 1956 and Sydney in 2000. In July 2007, Rio successfully organized and hosted the 15 Pan American Games. Rio de Janeiro also hosted the 2011 Military World Games from 15 to July 24, 2011. The 2011 Military World Games were the largest military sports event ever held in Brazil, with approximately 4,900 athletes from 108 countries competing in 20 sports. Rio de Janeiro hosted the 2016 Olympics and Paralympics. The Olympic Games were held from 5 to August 21, 2016. The Paralympics were held from 7 to September 18, 2016. The city has a history as host of major international sports events. The Ginásio do Maracanãzinho was the host arena for the official FIBA Basketball World Championship for its 1954 and 1963 editions. Later, the Jacarepaguá circuit in Rio de Janeiro was the site for the Formula One Brazilian Grand Prix from 1978 to 1989. Rio de Janeiro also hosted the MotoGP Brazilian Grand Prix from 1995 to 2004 and the Champ Car event from 1996 to 1999. WCT/WQS surfing championships were contested on the beaches from 1985 to 2001. The Rio Champions Cup tennis tournament is held in the spring. As part of its preparations to host the 2007 Pan American Games, Rio built a new stadium, Estadio Olímpico João Havelange, to hold 45,000 people. It was named after Brazilian ex-FIFA president João Havelange. The stadium is owned by the city of Rio de Janeiro, but it was rented to Botafogo de Futebol e Regatas for 20 years. Rio de Janeiro has also a multi-purpose arena, the HSBC Arena. The Brazilian dance/sport/martial art capoeira is very popular. Other popular sports are basketball, beach football, beach volleyball, beach American football, foot volley, surfing, kite surfing, hang gliding, motor racing, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, luta livre, sailing, and competitive rowing. Another sport that is highly popular in beaches of Rio is called frescobol, a type of beach tennis. Rio de Janeiro is also paradise for rock climbers, with hundreds of routes all over the city, ranging from easy boulders to highly technical big wall climbs, all inside the city. The most famous, Rio's Granite Mountain, the Sugar Loaf, Pau de Açúcar, is an example, with routes from the easy 3rd grade, American 5.4, French 3, to the extremely difficult 9th grade, 5.13/8b, up to 280 meters 919 feet. Horse racing events are held Thursday nights and weekend afternoons at Hippodromo de Gavia. A place with grass and dirt tracks, it runs the best horses in the nation. Hang gliding in Rio de Janeiro started in the mid-1970s and quickly proved to be well suited for this town, because of its geography. Steep mountains encounter the Atlantic Ocean, which provide take-off locations and landing zones on the beach. One of the most popular sea sports in the city is yachting. The main yacht clubs are in Botafogo area that extends halfway between Copacabana and the center of town. Though the most exclusive and interesting is probably the Rio Yacht Club, where high society makes it a point to congregate. Most yacht clubs are open to members only and gate crashing is not easy. Copacabana is also a great place to surf, as well as Arpoador of Ipanema Beach and Praia dos Bandeirantes. The sea at these beaches is rough and dangerous, and the best surfers from Brazil and other sites of the world come to these beaches to prove themselves. Thank you for watching this video.